Hello, you're watching Special Dialogue here on TVR World. I'm Rahmat Idris. We come to you from the capital, Jakarta, Indonesia. For over 3 decades now, Indonesia has been enjoying such harmonious relations with the Republic of Slovakia, both in terms of bilateral and diplomatic relations. And these cooperations have spanned across different topics and sectors, including economy, trade, even defense, and also technologies and innovations. And for this very special editions, we are joined by the Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Republic of Indonesia to the Republic of Slovakia, residing in Bratislava, His Excellency Pribadi Sutiono. Joining me from the other part of the world, I would like to extend a very good day to you, Mr. Ambassador, Your Excellency. Thank you very much for joining us for this special dialogue.
Thank you very much, Mas Idris. This is indeed a very great pleasure for me to be here now. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Right. Mr. Ambassador, there are so much to know about the bilateral and diplomatic relations between the Republic of Indonesia and the Republic of Slovakia. But first of all, for a lot of us who have not been or heard so much things about Slovakia, let us in on some of the biggest highlights that we need to know in terms of being in Slovakia and its current state of bilateral and diplomatic ties of Indonesia and Slovakia.
Well, thank you, Mas Idris, to bring up these issues. Yes, you're right, very right, that not many Indonesians know Slovakia. Maybe they know, especially the a bit old generation knows about the Czechoslovakia. But since 1993, January the 1st of 1993, the two countries separated by the Velvet Revolution. It's very peaceful revolution at the time, so they separate into two countries, which is the Czech Republic and the Slovak Republic. So since that time, and Indonesia is one of the first country to recognize the Slovakia in 1993. But we just opened our embassy in 1995, actually in January. So since then, 30 years already been 31 actually this year. The relations between the two countries is very developing very nice, very rapidly, and also very promising. Since Slovakia is, if I may say that, is actually have a very significant place in Europe. If you see in the map, Slovakia is right in the middle of Europe. Even some people say that 0 kilometer of Europe is in Slovakia. So by having that one, I think we should be understand that this is a very good place to do trade, to do cooperation between the two countries. And Indonesia, they need Indonesia more in terms of many natural resources as well as other cooperation between the two countries. Slovakia is bordering with a country like Czech Republic, as I mentioned, also Poland, also the Hungary, and also in the south is Austria. And is a very strategic place in we say in geographically. So that's Slovakia. And if you want me to mention more about the relations between the two countries, I believe that there are a lot of cooperation between Indonesia and Slovakia. We have around 15 bilateral agreements since 1994 and 3 bilateral mechanisms. We do cooperation between Indonesia and Slovakia in many issues, including technology. Right. Slovakia is very good in innovation and technology, agriculture, including also defense cooperation between the two countries. We have what we call the defense cooperation agreement between Indonesia and Slovakia. It's signed by Minister of Defense of Indonesia, Prabowo, and also as Minister of Defense of Slovakia, Mr. Stranat. So that's a glimpse of our relationships. But this is a very promising country.
Right. Mr. Ambassador, thank you for opening up a whole new perspective on Slovakia for us, because so far we've heard about Belgium or Brussels being the central and the headquarters of the European Union, but now strategically and geographically, Slovakia holds an essential position in terms of tradings and everything. But just to echo what you said on our defense ties, Mr. Ambassador, I'd like to go back to the October 2021 when you were first inaugurated as the Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary for the Republic of Slovakia, the extended hands of Indonesian governments in the country. You mentioned that the defense ties will be one of the utmost priorities for us to nurture, be it from the state-owned military defense companies here in our country and in Slovakia. So 3 years over, what has this agreement and sort of memorandum of understandings led us into its manifestation?
Well, as I mentioned, that we have what we call the Defense Cooperation Agreement. This is signed 2023, which is a very significant one, not only for Indonesia, but also for Slovakia. You know that Slovakia is also a member of NATO, non-aligned treaty organizations. But this is the point. By having a cooperation with the member of the NATO, the Indonesian TNI, for sure that they can also collaborate with NATO through Slovakia. That's one of the benefit of having this defense cooperation agreement. Secondly, we can also make a cooperation between Indonesia and Slovakia in terms of defense system, for example. There are already, you know, Indonesia usually buy since the Czechoslovakia time. We bought a lot of you know, equipment from Czechoslovakia at that time. But a lot of people very rarely understand that actually in Czechoslovakia, actually the defense system, defense capability is built in Slovakia, not in Czech. So this is another point that we should also understand. From there, we can, you know, do kind of cooperation between the two countries. You know, we have cooperation with the defense industry here, with Pindad, for example, with also with Bilateral and the other companies in Indonesia. And not to mention now, during the war between the Ukraine and Russia, I think the cooperation is also becoming a bit, you know, closer and closer again, especially when we already have a defense cooperation agreement. That's a glimpse of why we have our defense cooperation with Slovakia.
Right. Excellency Ambassadors, in terms of the geopolitical tensions and the current ongoing and even protracted conflicts between Russia and Ukraine, has it in any way impacted our relations of Indonesia and the Slovakian government?
Well, actually it's not, especially during the first war in 2022, which is at the beginning, the relations with Indonesia and Slovakia is as the same, except that internally Slovakia has a more challenge in facing the war at the time. Everything is going up, especially the price, the gas price, the electricity and everything, and a lot of migration from from Ukraine to Slovakia. To some extent, the Slovakia government is also prioritizing those refugees from Ukraine, and then it might affect the Indonesians who live here. Sometimes they have to be, you know, we have some kind of around at a time 100 or 150 Indonesian workers here. Sometimes they have to be, you know, waiting in line. They will prioritizing the Ukrainian first. But in general, there's nothing. The good things now is the new government is elected of Slovakia, elected last year in October, is now try to open more their eyes on beyond Europe, especially in terms of in terms of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, they without saying it bluntly, they say that okay, Indonesia is very good in proposing a peace solution in the conflict,
Right.
especially when the defense minister of Indonesia at the time in Shangri-La dialogue mentioned about the ceasefire
Right.
and then dialogue. And now that policy is being adopted by the government of Slovakia. So I think this is portraying our good relations between Indonesia and Slovakia as well.
Yeah, we're still going to continue to rally for peace on earth and for win-win solutions for the conflicting countries. We have so much more to
Yes.
unpack, Mr. Ambassador, and we're going to take a quick break now. Please stay with us right here on Special Dialogue. Don't go anywhere. And you are still watching Special Dialogue here on TV Our World. I am still joined by the Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Republic of Indonesia to the Republic of Slovakia, residing in Bratislava, His Excellency Pribadi Sutiono. Mr. Ambassador, thank you very much for joining us in this conversation. One of the highlights in recent years in terms of diplomatic relations between the two countries was the visit just November last year by our Vice President of the Republic of Indonesia, His Excellency Ma'ruf Amin, to Bratislava, meeting and speaking with Deputy Prime Minister of Slovakia. And by then, one of the great news from the Slovakian government is that the full support from Slovakia to the bid of Indonesian government to become a full member of OECD, the Organizations of Economic Cooperations and Developments. And that was like a little over 6 months ago. What more have you heard about this, Mr. Ambassador?
Well, thank you very much for raising this one again. But I know there is a new government here at the time. At the time is the new government in Slovakia, and now the new government in Slovakia is already fully functioned, except when there is a time of assassination of the prime minister. But since then, since the visit of the vice president as well as now. The support of Indonesia, the candidacy in the OECD is still stronger from the government of Slovakia. This is actually, they also mentioned that they need a more balanced members of OECD, not only the North countries, for example, the European or even the North Asia's countries, but also they need a country like in Indonesia. As I mentioned before, that the Prime Minister of Slovakia, the new one, is already also mentioned that the new policy of Slovakia is beyond Europe. They want to play a more independent, sovereign foreign policy, not only following what Brussels always mentioned, but they want to, and including the support of Indonesia and the OECD. Even that it sometimes also has a kind of a friction between Brussels and Bratislava. But the fact that they're still supporting us on the membership of the OECD is very, very positive response from them.
Right. How influential is it, do you think, Your Excellency, the support of the Slovakian government concerning the fact that you mentioned also earlier that it is strategically positioned within Europe and also has such a strong voice within European Union?
Well, Slovakia, even that this is a small country, but geographically they are very strategic here. But also you have to understand that the membership of Slovakia, a country like Slovakia, is very significant because they have the one country, one vote system as well. So I think we have to approach not only the big country, the big traditional country, but also a country like Slovakia. You know that Slovakia economically is one of the advanced in Europe, even that they just independence in 1993. But before that, they already have a technology, they have an innovation, and they also a member of the OECD and also the member of European Union. So I think this is a very significant, and we have to keep close to the Slovakia in this one.
Right, we have to keep the momentum going as well with the support from Slovakian government.
Yes.
Mr. Ambassador, one of the highlights as well from the visit was the expectations to expedite the so-called Indonesia and European Union's comprehensive economic partnership agreement, or the Indonesia-EU SIPA, which is still going through some phases now. And it was also echoed from the previous meeting between our own Foreign Affairs Minister, Ibu Retno Marsudi, with the Foreign Minister of Slovakian government. How do you think this will play into our bilateral cooperations between the two governments?
Well, I think this is very significant as well. You know that Slovakia is one of the advanced economy and advanced technology country. So if we keep engaging Slovakia, I believe that this process will be expedited. But you know that since last week, if I'm not mistaken, that they still have what you call it, the election of the MEPs, the member of the European Parliament.
Yeah.
I think the process should be, is being hold for a moment. But I'm very positive. The one from Slovakia who's been elected as a member of the MEP, they are all the friends of Indonesia. So I believe that they can also support our, the creation of the Indonesia-EU SEPA, this one. But this is not only the issues of the SEPA itself, but the issue like that others. For example, the EUDR, if I may mention here. Slovakia is supporting Indonesia, when Indonesia have a reservation on the EUDR. EUDR is a European Union deforestation regulations. So the Minister of Environment, the ministers of the Deputy Prime Minister of Slovakia, Mr. Kaliňák, also mentioned that, well, actually the issues of the in Belgium, in European, is not necessarily in line with their national policy.
Right.
So that's the momentum that we have to to hold, and then maybe we have to continue to engage them.
Right. I cannot agree more, Mr. Ambassador, because one of the biggest thorns on the part of Indonesia's and European unions in recent years is the allegations of deforestation in terms of providing all of these food stocks, particularly in regards to palm oil. We are the biggest palm oil producing countries, which has impeded trade. And it's good to hear that Slovakia's government is on our side. Do we think that we're going to see great lights at the end of the tunnels of this dispute?
Well, for sure, I believe that as you mentioned, we need what we call the win-win solution. So one party cannot just insist whatever they want, but also they have a kind of compromise between the two. EU needs Asia, EU needs Indonesia or other countries that have a producing, that have an impact, for example, with deforestation. But Indonesia also needs the EU. So I think I strongly believe that through dialogue, through communication, we can have a good result on this EUDR or any other issues. In fact, if you see each of the country, mostly they also believe that, well, we also not perfect in these environmental issues. That's why we can understand what is Indonesia's or other countries' reservation on these issues. So this is a good point. This is a good start.
Yeah.
So we can pursue this one as well.
Right. Your Excellency, Ambassador, I'd like to look back on a very significant meeting between our Foreign Affairs Ministers, Retno Marsudi, with the Foreign Minister of Slovakia, where there was this conversations about the trade of copper port, which is regarded as the shortest route of trade between Asia, and that is from our country, Indonesia, to Europe. How much have we heard about this, and how is the proposal to turn this up going at this point in time?
Well, actually, this is also what we all, or the Indonesian embassy in Bratislava always mention to our friends of the business people. Look, the the distance between Koper to Bratislava, which is Bratislava in the middle of Europe, is only 5 hours rotation. But from the north, for example, is about 12 hours. So this is a very significant issues. There is significant, differences in terms of money. How much money that you can save if you go from copper rather than if you go from the north. So I think this is a good start, and also because the not only the port itself, but all the, as I mentioned, the transportation is cheaper from the south, but also, for example, the storage in Slovakia is much cheaper than if you have a storage in the north part of traditional north part of Europe. What I always mention or I encourage the Indonesian businessmen is, please don't open just a coffee shop here, but you have to have, for example, but you have to have what you call it, a storage of a coffee in Slovakia, which is in the middle of Europe, so you can distribute to the Europe very easily, very efficiently, and it might have a lot of profit to the business Indonesian.
Right. And on that note, Mr. Ambassador, on that note, how much do you think Indonesia can benefit from this particular route? Because as you mentioned, and as also mentioned by Minister Retno, is that in 2022 alone, we enjoyed a staggering 45% increase in terms of trade value between the two countries. And more room to grow.
Well, it's very significant, yeah. Sorry, it's very significant. We make a calculation. If you import goods through the north, the cost will be triple than if you import from the copper. That's very significant for the business people, and I believe if we can utilize this one, if we can pursue more on the using of the copper port, I think the trade between the two countries is going up as more than as we expected.
All right. Yeah. Mr. Ambassador, thank you very much for that insights. Please stay with us. We're going to take another quick break right here on Special Dialogue on TVR World. Don't go anywhere. Thank you for still staying with us right here on TVR World for the special dialogue. I'm still joined by His Excellency Pribadi Sutiono, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Republic of Indonesia to the Republic of Slovakia, residing in Bratislava. Your Excellency, Ambassador, for this final segment, I'd like to get your insights on our people-to-people relations between the two countries. As an extended hands of Indonesian people and government over in Slovakia, how do you deliver your duties to promote our country in Slovakia?
Well, we do our best, to promote Indonesia. As you mentioned that not many Indonesian knows what is where is Slovakia or what is Slovakia, as well as not many Slovakian knows about Indonesia, even that we already have a relation since Czechoslovakia time. But what we can do is for sure that now we are more make a progress on the issues of education, for example. Yeah. We make a lot of cooperation between universities in Indonesia and universities in here, especially on the issues of technology, innovation, agriculture, because Slovakia is the best on that. Sometimes we are very surprised when, suddenly Slovakia's invent something, as you know, like the flying car was actually first was invented by a company in Slovakia, for example. So that's the one that we try to encourage more on the university cooperation. Not to mention about the issue, the agriculture. We are developing together between Indonesia and Slovakia on the tropical wheat. Now because of the war, the wheat is very expensive. So why don't we just, developing our own tropical wheat? And we already have this kind of cooperation. And now a lot of Indonesian companies, especially in agriculture, would like also. The number of Indonesian workers here is now is increasing. Why? Because Indonesian is one of the target country that can, that has been allowed by the government of Slovakia to supply more Indonesian worker here. Since I was here in 2021, the Indonesian number is only around 100, but now it's already fourth time. It's around 480s Indonesian, who mostly they're working at the industry, in the automotive industry, for example, the what do you call it, the spa, for example, the hotel. So that's why we try to boost all the people-to-people contact. The only issues that is a bit, we have to struggling is now about the number of the Indonesian student here. Not many Indonesian students would like to come here. So, since then until now, we don't have what we call the PPI, or Persatuan Pelajar Indonesia.
Right.
So because the number of Indonesian are very, very, very limited. In my tenure here, I think we only have 3 Indonesian students. Probably one of the issue is about the language, because the Slav language is one of the difficult. But actually, they also offer the English course in here, and they also offer the the scholarship to Indonesian. Well, vice versa, Indonesian also offers a lot of scholarships to the Slovak students. So this is we're starting to get there on the issues of people-to-people contact. On cultural event, we always make a lot of Indonesian cultural event. We have, the wayang kulit, for example, and they're happy with that, and they're very enthusiastic on that. We also have a course on Indonesian dance, Indonesian gamelan. Well, traditionally, yes. And this year we are going to have an Indonesian week, which is we are going to promote all the Indonesian UMKM, or Indonesian,
small medium enterprises. Yeah.
Yes, and also we are going to have a business matching on coffee, for example, on spices during that 1 week event. So I think, I'm not a magician, or with a magic wand we can do something instantly, but we have to do something. And if we are not starting, we have to start it now.
Yeah, and hopefully with you speaking to us, provide us more insights on Slovakia and attracting, at the end, more students from either country to come and study. And you mentioned very briefly there, I was quite intrigued with the fact that plenty of Indonesian diasporas working at the automotive industry over in Slovakia, Mr. Ambassador, because as we know, there's this particular interest of the Slovakian governments towards building up the EV, electric vehicles, in their countries and around the globe. And Indonesia is notorious for having, if not one of the largest nickel deposits to produce EV batteries. How do you think this will be nurtured in the futures in terms of trade cooperations?
Well, I should start with why the Indonesian workers work here in the field of automotive. Because in Slovakia, believe it or not, there are 5 or 6 automotive industry here. You name it, the best car in the world is here. That's why the Indonesian, they work here. The company, they like to have the Indonesian because they are very diligent, and they are, it's very rarely to complain everything.
Great work ethics, you're saying.
Great works, yes, yeah, you're right. And then for sure that on the issues of the nickel or the electric vehicles, Slovakia now already starting to have a cooperation with Indonesia on this one. They built 2 companies on electric batteries for this electric car. Cooperation with the Indonesian company already. And you know that according to European Union regulation, by the 2035, all the cars or the vehicles, or it should be an electric one. So we are already anticipating on this one. Even that this year we are going to have another event on. We have a kind of a business event on the new renewable energy. So we are going to invite the Indonesian company as well as the Indonesian state company on this one to discuss about the electric, the nickel and electric cars and everything. So yes, we are. This is Slovakia is very promising in this one because they have 6 or 5 or 6 automotive company, and they by 2035 they need that all by electric.
Right. Mr. Ambassador, I have so many questions in my head, but due to time constraints, I can only ask one final question to you. It was a great conversations on how we can further nurture and develop relations between Indonesia and Slovakia. But in your personal opinions and perspectives, Mr. Ambassador, from the over 3 years your stewardship in Slovakia, how do you see our bilateral and diplomatic and economic relations will unfold in the near futures, regarding the fact that we are welcoming a new administrations in just a couple of months, and also a new capital cities on the way. So how do you see these developed in the near future, Mr. Ambassador?
Well, I think as I mentioned, in the future, the relations between Indonesia and Slovakia is very positive, is very promising. The two countries, we need each other in this country. We are, very complementary as well. The challenge that we have now, especially with the new government in Indonesia as well as in Slovakia, is we have to sharpen our mindset that non-traditional market is very important. That non-traditional is very important. So this is the mindset that we have to keep in our mind, especially for the new government. That the future of Indonesia and the future of Slovakia is also rely on the other part of the world, not only the traditional part of the world. For the Slovakia in Europe, for example, that's why they're developing what they call the Beyond Europe foreign policy, Beyond Europe economic policy. And Indonesia, we also, from time to time, we always say that we have to engage more non-traditional market, but we have to put this one in practice, not only as a, on paper, but we have to make sure that non-traditional market, especially this Central European and Eastern European, is very crucial to our development. That's, I think, my comment on this one, because we have to change our mindset first to make it realize. Thank you.
Right. Well, thank you for capping that off for us, Mr. Ambassador. This has been a delight conversing with you, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Republic of Indonesia to the Republic of Slovakia, His Excellency Pribadi Sutiono. We thank you so much for your time and your insights, and for opening up a whole new perspective on Slovakia for us in this special dialogue. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Pleasure.
And from Jakarta, Indonesia, that concludes the special dialogue from this time. I'm Rahmat Idris. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.